The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the HighLowSports podcast. We appreciate you all for joining us here on this Wednesday evening as we get ready to talk a whole lot in the wide world of sports. We've just crossed the sports equinox with all four major sports going on at the exact same time, and we still got a whole lot more to go, including coming up tonight. It is DJ, joined as always by my co-host Kelcey. And Kelcey, World Series could be coming to an end tonight. NBA season getting a little bit frisky here right now. College football, it's getting serious. NHL, it is underway. But we're gonna focus a little bit on the NFL today as trade deadline is coming past. Plus, we are right smack dab in the as close as you're gonna get to midseason mark with a 17-week season. So we're gonna go ahead and start handing out a little bit of hardware today.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna have some special guests for the hardware handout. I can't wait to have these Goombas on. I don't know what else to call them. But yeah, no, we're gonna have some good friends on to give us some help with the awards. But yeah, no, this is. I mean, I don't know. Should we call it an equinox or do we call it like a eclipse, a total sports eclipse? Because I mean, the eclipse is when you have both the sun and the moon overlapping each other. So maybe it's a sports eclipse.
Total eclipse of the sports heart, I guess, something like that as well.
Total eclipse of the sports world. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's some kind of cool naming in there. Yeah, I mean, we'll figure it out. That'll be next week's episode's name. That we finally figure it out. But no, this has been a good time. And then you mentioned NBA season. We got NBA season in season tournament starting this weekend. And by the way, if you guys haven't seen yet those sick courts that they're putting out for this, just the in-season tournament, they match all the City Connect jerseys, which explains all the City Connect jerseys now. Seeing the courts explains the jerseys. I didn't know the courts were going to be a thing, but seeing the courts now explains all the jerseys, and so I'm okay with some of these jerseys now.
They took the long way to get there, but the end result was fine, no matter how bad that math was to get there. Yeah,
like the Indy court now makes sense for the jersey. Like seeing the court, I'm like, oh, okay, the jersey makes sense now. Same thing for the Chicago Bulls as well, but that's a different conversation with those Chicago Bulls to talk about Chippy. They are a whole lot of Chippy. Unfortunately, it's with themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a mess going on there, and there's a mess going on in Chicago across the sports world. Really, if you look at it as well, there's a lot going on there. But
Chicago, where sports go to die.
Unfortunately, yeah, that is the case. Minus the Blackhawks, so even then they've kind of a little up and down. They at least have some recent hardware going for them, I guess. But
I mean, so do the Cubs, but like that's not saying much.
A lot less recent for them. I mean, last time they had something going for them. Well, we can go into that all day. We don't have too much time left since we do have those guests, and one of them likes to be a little bit long-winded. If we know anything, as well.
They got to show up first. I don't even know. I mean, they're late, but they like to be long-winded. Go figure.
The irony of that. But who might have complained? Sometimes I do the same on their show. But that's going to do it for the intro. We're now going to jump into the opening segment, also known as the tip-off. The tip-off, of course, brought to you by our friends over at SeatGeek. Use code BellyUpSports. Get yourself $20 off your first set of tickets for whatever sporting event or concert you might want to go and attend. We're going to go ahead and just start things off at the trade deadline, as there was a fair amount of wheeling and dealing going on, but both in the NFL and in the NBA. We got ourselves a nice little trade going on, as well as James Harden head over to the Clippers for what is sure to be a not playoff disappointment team in the future, but that's a whole nother issue. But NFL trades, we had quite a few of them as well too. Not a lot of huge names, but a lot of really good names, it felt like, as well too.
A little bit of huge news in there. I mean,
there's some doozies. You didn't necessarily see Devontae Adams get moved like one thought might happen after Monday, but I guess you saw their head coach and their GM get moved, but they got moved to the unemployment line. I'll go and start with the first one that kind of got the dominoes going. Leonard Williams, the big defensive tackle from the Giants, heading as far away as possible from the Giants, going all the way to the Pacific Northwest and joining the Seattle Seahawks. And for a second and a fifth round pick, I believe it was, that's a really good deal for the Seahawks, who may have overpaid a touch compared to some of the other ones.
Yeah.
Can you talk about something that fills a need almost more perfectly for them that was available? I mean, you have no interior pass rush and you have limited run stopping, and you get Leonard Williams, who accomplishes both of those as well. So for Seattle, the top of the division, Seattle Seahawks, nonetheless, I think that's a hell of a move. And I think second and a fifth for what you're getting, run away with that thing. That's a great deal for the Seahawks. And for the Giants, you stink. Go get those draft picks. Like, you had Tommy DeVito playing quarterback and had -9 pass yards. I don't care if Daniel Jones comes back. You'll get +9 pass yards now. the Giants season's pretty much toast right now. At this point, it's just trying to have fun and convince Saquon Barkley to stay. So good trade for both parts, I guess.
Yeah, no, I like the trade for Leonard Williams. Personally, I think Leonard Williams gets the best of all this. Like, oh, great, now I'm out of this dysfunctional family in New York. Now I get to go to
where this is what it feels like to play for a winner now.
And now I get to go to a team that actually has a stable ownership group, has a stable front office, has a stable quarterback on offense, and now you're like, oh, okay, so this is pretty nice. I mean, Pete Carroll's an old man, but at the same time, he's stable. Like, you don't have to worry about that defense. Let's just put it that way. You are probably one of the better defenses while undermanned, and now guess what? Shelby Harris, you have a running mate. Like, unfortunately, I guess I should rephrase that. Leonard Williams, you have a running mate in Shelby Harris. So, like, it's a good situation for the Seahawks, good situation for Leonard Williams, and I mean, if you're the Giants, be thankful for what you got, because there's a couple other guys that came off the board that are worth a whole lot more that they were given a whole lot less to get them off the books. So we'll talk about them in a second, but before this trade, the other one I want to point out before, I don't know if you were going back to this one, but the Kevin Byard trade to the Eagles, I feel like that's an underrated trade. Obviously, he has played one game already, but I feel like that's an underrated trade just for what they need in that secondary and what he can provide. The guy, you just don't merely throw near Kevin Byard and it be completed. The guy has a habit of, it used to be putting his red gloves in the way of everybody. You see the red gloves on the field, to throw the other way. But now we'll see. I didn't even see what color gloves he was wearing now in Philly, but I imagine it's going to be a white pair of gloves for a dark jersey and a dark pair of gloves for a white jersey, because that's just what he does. But yeah, I think Kevin Byard also an underrated pick, so underrated trade just in the first. I mean, even really before the deadline started.
Yeah, absolutely, he's not quite the center fielding all pro ball hawk that he used to be, but you put him in like in the mid center field, like those crossing routes. Yeah. Good luck. One does not the field. Like, you can still go over the top, but that's a low percentage thing, and good luck with that anyways. Well, Sam Howell may be able to do it, but he only plays good against the Eagles. It makes no sense. Yeah. For the way their team's built, a perfect fit, or just a ball hawking safety to kind of take that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson / CD Deuce / whatever he calls himself now role to just take the ball away in the middle. So that's also a great pick. And we'll see. They got him to beat the Cowboys in those type of teams, and he'll get a nice fresh chance coming up this week as well. So that's going to be
it's a nice fresh chance to make me cry.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. As he made me cry many times, he'll make you cry now as well too. We had to share the pain in this one. But you did allude to it. We'll might as well just get into it. Washington Commanders taking a page out of the new owner Josh Harris's playbook and trusting the process, if you will. Not only trading away Montez Sweat for a second-round pick, but trading away Chase Young for a third-round pick. And honestly, they surprised they didn't also trade Terry McLaurin while they were at it at this point. But Washington more or less cleaning house a little bit after that loss to the Eagles, and I'm honestly more surprised that they dealt both of them. It's not that one of them got dealt. I expected one of them to go. But the fact that you dealt both of them coming into contract years is kind of a good move on their part, because you don't have to re-sign the one you were shaky on. But at the same time, you got pretty good results back. But now your defensive line just got significantly worse because your edge rushers are both gone. So I don't know what to think about this. Like, it's good, it's bad, and it's ugly. That's the only thing I can think of with it.
There's another level to this that bothers me, and it's the fact that they traded them both players to an NFC team that they could likely face in the playoffs in the future. Just gonna throw that out there. It's not like Sweat or Young are very old by any means. I mean, we're looking at another 10 years of these guys probably each.
They're younger than we both are.
Yeah, I mean, like, they're going to be in the league for a while. So Washington, I mean, Josh Harris, I hope you really trust the process, because the process is going to come back for you. This is not the process I would have tried to be trusting. Let's just be honest. This is not the league I try to do the trust the process moment in. But you know what? Okay, fine. That's it. That's his end goal. But look, the fact that Chase Young went for a third round pick and Montez Sweat for a second round pick. Now, mind you, I do like Montez Sweat a little more because he can stay on the field more often. But let's not kid ourselves in thinking Chase Young is not a superstar type of defensive end. If he can stay healthy, the dude's a superstar type of defensive end. He literally tortures people in the pass game, in the rush game. And he's literally just like his now new running mate in Nick Bosa. So you're going to tell me you just sent him to San Francisco to now just kill all of our hopes and dreams whenever we go play San Francisco. Now we're going to have to beat two murderers on either side of the line, and now you have to just try to figure out which one you want to stop. Are you going to put two tight ends in and chip everybody? It's just, yeah. So Niners definitely won this one out of everybody, but the Bears, I'm not going to say they lost by any means getting Montez Sweat. The Bears might have actually had one of the sneakiest, best trade deadlines as far as getting a big pickup without losing anything. Did better than the Vikings in their division. So, yeah, I don't know. I think this is, and also did better than the Packers. But yeah, I mean, look, I think Montez Sweat is an underrated piece. I think he's always been underrated, and he's going to show exactly what he can do with the Bears. But yeah, I think I don't know. I like this for those two getting out of there and they're going to get paid. Let's not kid ourselves. Unless the Bears are stupid and don't pay Sweat and send them like they did Khalil Mack. I don't think that's going to happen though.
If you traded him for an 8-game rental when you're 2-5, that would be the dumbest thing of all time. I'd have to imagine they had like a contract extension somewhat in the works, or we're kind of talking about it a little bit beforehand, or they better be ready to empty out the Brinks trucks from all the money they didn't pay Roquan Smith. Because if you traded, it's a great trade piece. That defense needs young players, and it gives your first-round picks more versatility next year, especially in that offensively loaded draft class that it looks like it's going to be. So this gives you some flexibility there wherever you're picking, whether it's skill positions, new quarterback, both. You trade a second-round pick, which, as we learned from Chase Claypool last year, they have bad luck when it comes to trading second-round picks, but that's not Chase Claypool. That's Montez Sweat. So him, Jalen Johnson, who they managed to retain, which is huge, but they have to pay him too now.
Good luck with
it. They're weird. I really don't know. If they could keep those two and build off of it, maybe Fields comes back and starts looking like Justin Fields during that run last year that he had. I don't know. But you had to make some moves. It's a good fit. And Chase Young and Nick Bosa, for the 7.5 quarters, they're going to be both fully healthy together. They're going to terrorize quarterbacks. It is going to be menacing. Back reunited like they were at Ohio State. That is going to be a terrorizing duo, as you mentioned. Then just a few other trades we'll pop in with too. Your boy, Josh Dobbs, after starting every game for Arizona, getting sent to Minnesota to maybe be a little bit of the savior if Jaron Hall can't quite fill it. And talk about a switch of scenery. You go from the dysfunction of Arizona that sometimes has Trey McBride and Marquise Hollywood Brown sometimes, to now you get Jordan Addison with his 7 touchdowns, second in the NFL, and Justin Jefferson, who is Justin Jefferson when he comes back healthy, and TJ Hawkinson, who is the ultimate Viking tight end right now. Yeah. Talk about a nice change of scenery for Josh Dobbs. Like if he ends up playing, that's quite the skill position to go to.
Yeah. Plus, although unfortunately, like there's an unfortunate side to this whole thing. The Vikings, you get Josh Dobbs. You have, you try to replace Kirk Cousins after this torn Achilles, but then you just go and trade Ezra Cleveland to the Jaguars. So the thing that caused you to have to look for a quarterback in the first place, it's even worse by trading away Ezra Cleveland, one of your starters. Unless they blame Ezra Cleveland for the injury, which
and it looks like we're frozen right now, but there we go. All right, now we got
unless they blame Ezra Cleveland for the issue, I don't think they do. But yeah, I think you just, you got Josh Dobbs, but now you trade away Ezra Cleveland. This is why I say the Bears had a better trade deadline than the Vikings, because you added a little bit, but you traded a lot more away. But the fun fact about the NFC North, they were the only whole division to be involved in trade deadline moves.
That is true. And then the Packers, as you mentioned, around out dealing with Will Douglas out to the Bills, who great pickup for the Bills. He fits perfectly. It's a perfect match for those two. So, you know what? The NFC North, they wheeling and dealing for better and for worse.
You got the most important one. Baker Mayfield's favorite target going to Detroit, Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Meh. Fun.
Don't give me that. I think this is a much needed pickup for the Lions, who actually now get a big receiver to throw to. That is not just a bunch of speedy guys. I'm sorry, Josh Reynolds, you classify as a speedy guy now. But yeah, Donovan Peoples-Jones now, gets a bigger target to throw into the end zone too.
The rich get richer now. You got Donovan Peoples-Jones is arguably your 4th receiver. Reynolds, Amon-Ra St. Brown is a top 10 receiver. Jamison Williams, who is faster than everybody not named Tyreek Hill, arguably. Plus Sam Laporta, arguably most productive tight end in the NFL. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, too. Like, okay, good luck everybody else with the Lions coming forward. Motor City, Dan Campbell's got them full, all gas, no brakes going forward.
If you want our opinion on the Lions, though, go check our Tier Tuesday, because we had some things to say about the Lions yesterday.
So before we wrap up the trade talk, we did get a fun little tidbit from the resident geniuses in the back too, the smartest ones of the group here. The Niners ended up trading Trent Williams and Chase Young Trent Williams and Chase Young for the Commanders for a total of 2 third-round picks and 1 fifth-round pick.
I hate the Cowboys. God, this just tells me how much I hate the Cowboys, and the fact that they let the Niners go just destroy a division rival for 2/3 and a fifth. And I'm sitting here wondering, hey, maybe the Cowboys might hopefully ever pick up a backup quarterback who's never going to see the field, and maybe he might be better than Cooper Rush. This is stupid. Bring me Taylor Heineke. Do something, Cowboys. I need something right now.
Hey, that's Atlanta Falcons starter Taylor Heineke starting this week. So we'll
bring me Scary Terry.
Get in line. I already got first dibs on that. Bring Scary Terry back to Indy. But
that's right.
That's going to do it here for the tip-off, and that's going to now take us into Kelcey's second favorite part of every show. That is the main event, where we'll be talking some NFL awards here. And joining us for the main event, we got a couple of lads from a podcast you may have seen us both on. We'll go and start with the TikTok sensation himself, the Italian Stallion, the most loyal Jets fan that does not wear a fireman hat that I know, and that is our good friend Matt Ordazzo. Matt, thank you so much for joining us here today to talk a little bit of NFL midseason awards.
What's going on, guys? Same great group of guys, different background right now. But I enjoy the Italian salad part before you corrected yourself to Stallion. But
Italian salad, Italian stallion, you know, whatever you want to go with, spaghetti and meatballs, whatever.
Oh, yeah. I also share your first. Well, you got the antipasto, so you're gonna get the salami, the peppers, the artichoke hearts. You're gonna get the mushrooms and the onions and the olives and everything. So you're gonna get all the good stuff, the pepperonis.
You said all.
And I feel your frustration with the Cowboys could have just given up this or that. The Jets could have just given up that low mid-round pick and gotten Ezra Cleveland. Like, we could have just so many. Like, I see all these guys move, like Amari Cooper when he went for that like fifth or third. I was like, you couldn't have just dished out a mid-round pick. You were going to waste it on somebody else, but that's life.
They just paid the man instead of sending him to Cleveland. In my case,
exactly.
And of course, you can't have one without the other too. We also got Matt's co-host, the loudest man from the mean streets of not Broad Street that I know, one of the few Eagles fans who isn't completely loud and mean and obnoxious. Maybe the 1/1,000,000th quietest Eagles fan, and a dedicated Snakes Alive Diamondbacks fan, and one of our good pals too. We got Jared as well. Jared, thanks for joining us.
Cheers, gents. How we doing?
I can't know where we got quiet from.
What's on the top of your head? It's just very blank right now. It just looks like an empty green.
I love it. This is my resident redneck Diamondbacks hat. This is me just staring into it at this point.
The most northern redneck we know.
There are a lot of us, actually.
They don't exist.
That is not as surprising as it should be, but gentlemen, we all know why we're here. We're going to talk about NFL midseason awards. We're going to go down the list, take a look at who we want, and as the guest of honor, we're going to let you go first. The awards we'll be talking about today: MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year. To save time and to not go completely around the circle awkwardly, we're going to let each person go down their list of awards while the rest of us yell at them for us. So, Matt, as the designated smarter of the two guests here, I'm going to let you go ahead and go first.
Nice. All right, MVP. I am not giving it to Patrick Mahomes. I'm tired of this man. He should not. I mean, if Jalen Hurts never got hurt last year, this man would have won MVP, in my opinion. But you know what? I had a lot of options I was going with. I was looking at Tua, but the games that Tua lost were against actual defenses that just got the best of him. So whenever he wins a game, it's against a team that's under 500. So I'm thinking the only logical thing for me is I'm going with Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts should get the MVP this season again. I think he should surpass Patrick Mahomes. He's a guy that's got 7-1 right now, gets the wins, doesn't need the refs' helps, and just can really do it himself. Can just do everything himself. And I think the man should have won it last year, and I'm going to give it to him this year.
All right. You know what? I did get I like it as well, too. And the little tear he's gone on the last 3 or 4 weeks, too. The numbers are starting to catch up a little bit as well. I think he has 18 total touchdowns rushing and passing, 18 or 19, starting to catch up with as well. So, you know, I dig it as well, too. We got a resident Eagles fan here. I can see you're ready to chime in on this one as well.
So, MVP, I'm staying same team, but I'm going to go a different position. I'm going to go with A.J. Brown. You want to talk about a guy who literally just takes over a fucking game. And I'm not one of those guys who's like, oh, you can't. I know it's a quarterback award. And I know this is probably not going to happen because it's probably going to be Jalen or Mahomes or Tua by the end of the season. But currently, as the league stands, the most valuable player on a football field offensively, because we know it ain't going to the defensive player, is A.J. Brown. That man literally has taken out multiple secondaries by himself and kept Philadelphia in games. And I believe it's an NFL record, 6 straight 1,000-yard season, 125-yard games. So, yeah, NFL record. And wow, I'm blown away. Like, he looks like, and I hate to bring this up for Eagles fans because I know it's a rough subject, but it reminds me of 04 with T.O. when he just was on a tear. Very similar body type, less volatile of a quarterback, personality-wise, less volatile of a personality type with a receiver. These guys actually were friends before they played together. But A.J. Brown, every time I watch him on the film, it's like watching poetry, man. It's like you watch like your prototypical freak Madden receiver that you make in a lab, and that's A.J. Brown. He's played out of this world. So right now, it's A.J. Brown. Talk to me of the season. It'll most likely be either Mahomes, Tua, or Jalen.
The defenses have yet to stop A.J. Brown. The only thing that has stopped him is Chipotle and some questionable food choices otherwise. But so far since his Eagles tenure.
And running the ball against the Vikings, but that's a whole other thing.
I'm still trying to get over the fact that Jared just picked a receiver for an MVP award.
First one ever, too.
I respect the difference.
I'm just trying to figure out when we're going to get an MVP that's going to be a receiver, but I don't think it's going to be A.J. Brown. I'm sorry. Of all the receivers to possibly win an MVP, I don't think A.J. Brown would be the one.
Oh, no, I'm
going to be the first Alabama running back to get a Heisman, so what do I know?
Not reacting to you. Diamondbacks with two guys on ground out of the fielder's choice. Just killing me right now. Just killing me.
Give it another 8 weeks. We might see Zach Wilson in the category. I'm joking.
I'm for it. Let's do it. Let's flip the league on its damn head.
That'd be well.
And you could hear the sound of moms across the country reacting as well too. But before we dive into that wormhole, Kelcey, MVP, where are we looking at? Can tell it's not AJ Brown for you.
Normally we save the MVP for last. Get a little excitement, build it up for. But I guess we're ripping the Band-Aid off here. Matt actually mentioned the guy that I'm going to go with. Jared, there's another guy that I would also say is the most valuable player that would be a receiver, more so than AJ Brown. But I'm not going to go him. I'm going to go the guy throwing him the ball, currently leading the league in passing, and that's Tua Tagovailoa. I know he's lost a couple games he should have won, but the guy's lighting up the league. Absolutely has one of the most monstrous receivers out there. I'm sorry, he's not built like a monster, but he's built like the guy you make 5'10" and make run 1,000 miles per hour and let nobody have. And he has 100 release. Like, you just don't guard him. I mean, good luck trying. He runs the wrong route and is still open for a touchdown. So Tua. Mixed, obviously this is going to be one of those awards like Tua wins it, but Tyreek is a lot of responsibility for it, and that's so be it. I mean, Tom Brady, a lot of the responsibility of one of his MVPs goes to Randy Moss. Let's not forget that. So, this is kind of similar situation, and I think you have Tua here with the MVP, and spoiler alert as we get to the offensive player of the year, but it might relate. I don't know. I think what Tua is doing right now is, as long as he stays healthy for the rest of the season, nigh unstoppable. What they're doing to top teams is pretty scary. That's where I'm at with that for right now. I don't think it's Patty. I love Jalen. I love what he's doing. I just don't think he's consistent enough. I mean, he's getting beat by Sam Howell in statistics. So that's never good. Not all season, but he's 3 times this season. Sam Howell's outperformed Jalen Hurts. And I only know this because of my fantasy teams. So that's just not good enough. I mean, at the end of the day. So Tua gets my nod for MVP, but honestly, this one, I feel like this year's MVP is going to go down to the wire.
Let me ask you this then. This is the one raise I'll make for Hurts here before we get to DJ, because I know you're going to want to you got something here, but you take Howell out of the lineup and you put in insert quarterback X, Josh Dobbs, whatever, right? How does the team change in Washington? You take Jalen Hurts out of Philadelphia. How does the team change in Philadelphia? And we saw that last year because that Eagles team without Jalen Hurts wasn't making the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm going to give you 2 good quarterbacks, and I'm going to tell you, give you the exact same scenario. You take Lamar Jackson off the Ravens, and you take Joe Burrow off the Bengals.
Exactly. Well, same point to me.
No, I mean, it's not, because the best player doesn't necessarily mean they have the best system for him. In this case, you're talking about Jalen, who has a perfect system for Jalen. If Jalen were to go to any other team, he would not be the Jalen Hurts we see. Period. Point blank. I've watched Jalen play for multiple teams. I know this for a fact. If he does not have a system that works for him, he's not going to be the same Jalen Hurts. The same goes for Sam Howell. Sam Howell doesn't have a system that works, or well, now he kind of did, but doesn't have an offensive line that works for him. Same thing. You take Joe Burrow off the Bengals. You put him on the Ravens, who run first with the quarterback all the time. What's going to happen to Joe Burrow? He's not going to be Joe Burrow. Lamar Jackson, you put him on a team that throws all the time, like the Bengals. He's not going to be Lamar Jackson, the one-time unanimous MVP. So you can't use that conversation because a lot of teams build around their quarterback, and that's what they should do. But you can't just be like, oh, well, what if you pull him off? It doesn't work that way.
I'm saying you put Anthony Richardson on either one of those teams, he's going to be electric for about 6.5 quarters. So it doesn't matter.
And then he's going to break something.
That we're not going to talk about that part. I said 6.5 quarters. I didn't say why there was more. We're going to cut it off at 6 quarters as a sample size. But
fair enough.
This is fun. We're going to go do an MVP, and right out of the gate, we're going to have 4 different ones because I'm going to go with the weird hanging fruit. I'm going to take Josh Allen for MVP right now. Obviously,
when it comes to who he's dating.
Yeah, that was the only reason I was going to give him MVP.
Those fans are here.
That's my girl.
Let me get rolling now. Jared, put it away. Hold on now. First of all, Josh Allen, not that first week against the Jets was absolutely disastrous. Can't erase that, unfortunately. Leads the NFL in touchdowns combined. Second in passing, plus chip in 6 rushing touchdowns with it. Leads the NFL in QBR at 77. Completion percentage leads the NFL at 71% as well. Top 5 in passing yards. We talk about Tua against good teams struggling. Well, one of those good teams was the Bills, who he absolutely ramrodded. Does Josh Allen turn the ball over a little heavy? Yeah, needs to check that. He's only thrown 1 less pick than Tua. Same amount as Jalen Hurts as well. Same amount as Patrick Mahomes. His turnovers are just coming in explosive doses. Everyone else likes the spacers, where his is like explosive A.J. Brown after Chipotle diarrhea at this point. He does it in bursts. But Josh Allen, turnover-wise, is the same with everybody else, but leads the NFL in touchdowns. And the Bills right in the thick of things. And big game against the Bengals this week as well. They win that game. He plays well. Point continues as well. And they're only a game behind the Dolphins nonetheless. It feels like it's a giant gap, but it is 6-2, 5-3. It's not a huge gap. It's the way the Bills lose that pisses everybody off, including me who picks Josh Allen for MVP. But for now, I'm going to stick with him. Does lead the NFL in touchdowns. Does lead it in completion percentage and QBR. Has all the prerequisite check marks. They win 11, 12 games at this pace. He might get it with the way everybody else struggles and flows.
You know what? You made a compelling argument for me not to roast you for that. So I will, you know what? Caps off, Deej. That gave it to me because I was like, Josh, is he fucking kidding with Josh Allen right now? But it's also this kind of talks about the whole media narrative and how things are looking this year for the Bills. Because you look at the stat sheet, yeah, Josh Allen's had an amazing season, but visual eye test, you're like, Bills are a wild card team?
So when you lose to Zach and Mac in the same season, that is going to bring you down no matter what, unfortunately. But when you look at it as a whole, it's like, oh, okay, that's really not quite that bad. The Giants, when he plays his worst, it's on primetime. That's the worst part. Like the Giants game where they just kept pooping the bed up and down the field, and the Jets game where just a catastrophe. Those were the 2 on primetime. So everyone saw that, unfortunately. But those 1 o'clock games, he's pretty much Kirk Cousins at this year, honestly. I hate to say it.
Don't say that.
4 o'clock games.
Torn Achilles is coming next year. We don't need that.
He's been absolutely.
It's okay. Haley can carry him off the field.
If he could be so lucky. But basically, as long as he can stay healthy and that shoulder he doesn't go into the blue tent every other week, I think it continues on this pace as well. And they've started to get Dalton Kincaid involved finally. So I think that's going to make things a whole lot easier. It's easier to not throw it into triple coverage when you have 2 tight ends that win one-on-one every play. So
yeah.
So that's all right. MVP, we had a nice little fun run. We're going to go ahead
before we go forward. If you guys had to guess real fast, who do you think out of the guys we just all named, who has the best chance of best odds right now of winning MVP? Who has the worst odds?
I'd say Jalen. I think he's plus 230 right now.
No.
Tua?
No fucking way. Tua is the highest.
Tua is the top ranked MVP odds candidate right now with plus 300.
You know what? Claps for Tua. I'll give it up.
Patty and Jalen are both tied at plus 400.
Well, that's because he didn't have his flu game moment apparently.
And then the only one that we're going to quantify on this list, because we're not quantifying Jared's answer because it's literally not on my list, is plus 1,300 odds for Josh Allen.
What's the odds for Zach Wilson?
Not on the list. Jared Goff is the last on this list at plus 3,500. Who was my backup pick, by the way? He's going to be my dark horse. Brock Purdy plus 2,200. CMC plus 2,000. Joe Burrow 2,000.
Jared Goff would be a fun $10 little throw bet on.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, just wanted to throw that out there that we are looking at the MVP odds. We're all talking about guys except for Jared that are actually ranked in the top 5 of MVP odds right now. So
like the hatred you throw at me every time I come on this goddamn show is just
Jared would say, all right, if I can't choose AJ Brown, I'm gonna go with Hassan Reddick.
Now,
well, he's definitely not on the list.
Jared, the conversation we're about to have is where you should have a conversation about AJ
okay.
Brown.
I was making a case for it not being a quarterback award. I'm still pissed about Todd Gurley in 2017. That's a whole other ballgame.
Quarterback award.
All right, but listen, OPI is that OPY? Is that where we're going next?
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench in this bitch. Give me CMC.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I thought you were gonna say something like Joe Mixon. Like when you say throw a
dude's running like I think he hasn't gone a game at a touchdown since like last October.
18.
It's something insane like that. It's like 18, 19 games. Like as much as AJ Brown streak's impressive, McCaffrey's streak is getting to the point where it's like it's a little hilarious. Like it's just like, is he gonna stop?
Yeah.
He's the best offensive player.
Anytime that I could make.
He's the best offensive player on the entire 49ers team. Debo is a shell of himself. Brock Purdy's a fraud, and Brandon Ayuk is this in-between player I can't figure out. I love George Kittle, but he's a pro wrestler playing tight end.
That's accurate.
Let's be honest. The best offensive player on the 49ers is injured right now. It's Trent Williams because tackle lives matter.
No, Kyle Juszczyk is still there. Fullback lives matter.
Yes, fullback lives do matter.
Hey,
Bring fullback
Thomas
back.
Morstead, punters matter.
Okay, McAfee, put it away. So that being said, CMC, man, it's just he looks unstoppable with that. When they get him rolling, that he is the engine for that O-line. My 2 would be AJ or Jalen, or you throw in 2 or Tyreek. It's going to be somebody off of those 3 teams that are kind of running away with best record in football. And of course, you can't throw out Patrick because the NFL loves Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, you can't throw out.
All right, so Jared just gave us 7 answers there down the list. So we'll go ahead and go. Kelcey, who are you taking as player of the year?
Yeah. So I was gonna say CMC, but thanks, Jared. So I literally set this one up so I could literally swerve at the last second and go CMC. But no, I'm gonna have to go back with what I set up, which is Tyreek. Best odds-on favorite right now to win Offensive Player of the Year, barely ahead of CMC, by the way. But yeah, what he's doing, like I said, it's absolutely insane. Try to cover him, good luck. Try to triple cover him, good luck. He still seems to run by everybody. He'll just accidentally run the wrong route and run by everybody. So yeah, it's a pretty impressive thing. And now let's not forget the one thing that's going to change and going forward, make him even stronger is now the Dolphins are fully healthy on defense, which means they're more likely to get off the field. So there's more opportunities for Tua to throw it up to Tyreek, and Jalen Waddle will actually be healthy and start to impact the game more, giving more opportunity to Tyreek to just not be triple covered, which is always a plus for fantasy football owners. But yeah, look, I'm going to say Tyreek Hill right now is my odds-on favorite for OPY.
Okay, I like it. All right, cool. So Matt, I'll let you go ahead and lead this one as well too. Who are we looking at for OPY?
Well, since Jared took Kelcey's pick, which then Kelcey then took my pick.
Jesus Christ.
It's a ladder effect. You took his pick, he took my pick, but I'm going to just stick with my pick. I am also going Tyreek Hill with this one. I mean, I think it's pretty special what he has been able to do in Miami, considering I think a lot of us, mostly myself, but I didn't think he'd have the success that he had in Miami. I didn't think you're going to go from Patrick Mahomes to Tua Tagovailoa, if I even said that right, and you're going to just put up the numbers and the production that he did. I didn't think it was going to be a match made in heaven ever since he had that underthrow pass in camp the other year. I thought it was going to be a shit show, but it's turned out to be the best matchup that Miami could have right now. So halfway through the year, this man's averaging, 100, and he's going to average at this point. He's going to average 120 receptions on the year for over 2,000 yards and like 16 touchdowns. He's at 61 receptions, 1,014 yards, 8 touchdowns. It's just insane what he's been able to do. He is also somebody that you can rely on a touchdown pretty much every week of the year. And like Kelcey said, he's barely in front. But if he keeps this up, I don't see how this man won't win Offensive Player of the Year, especially I'm assuming McCaffrey will probably miss a game or something. He always misses a game this year. And I think if they both have the same production throughout the rest of the year, but McCaffrey misses 1 or 2 games because of injury, that'll solidify Tyreek Hill is going to get it.
Absolutely. And on top of
Fair.
that, too, CMC's plateaued a little bit outside of touchdown the last few weeks at like 40 yards, where Tyreek continues to have, he has 1,000 yards through a month and a half. Like that.
I watched Tyreek just blow by Bradbury and with a safety with a great angle, and I was just like, yeah, that's just, you can't coach against that. It doesn't matter who the fuck you put on him.
It's really not fair. And actually, I do want to point out, Matt, to your point about him averaging a touchdown a game. He actually is averaging a touchdown a game because he had the 2 outbursts in the first week. So his no touchdowns against the Bills evens out.
Okay, let me guys ask you this is for Tyreek Hill, right? Is this how it felt going against Deshaun Jackson when we were kids?
Yes.
Is this how it felt?
It's worse. Deshaun Jackson was like a buck 05, and you could press him a little bit back then. So occasionally you could mitigate him a little bit more.
Not the Cowboys.
I was going to say Terrence Newman, I think, still has nightmares about
the NFC East, but for everybody else. Not the Giants or the Cowboys, but for everybody else. It would.
Roy Williams over the top. The other Roy Williams.
The one who's got like a bounty in Philadelphia, Roy Williams.
Yeah, but no, it really is kind of like D-Jack, except for the difference is Tyreek doesn't return punts anymore, so you don't at least have to worry about him in that aspect.
Yeah,
like, he's still putting up equal production.
Who's the other one who used to scare the piss out of me on going to? Oh, Mike Wallace when he was younger. Holy shit, just so fucking fast.
And he was like,
then he went to Miami.
No, then he went to Philadelphia. That was when it was over.
Oh, that must have been before he went to Minnesota. That was bad too.
He played in Minnesota?
I think he played in Minnesota for a year or two.
Oh, that's right. He was like 2 years. Oh, yeah.
Because the Steelers made the smart choice, and we're like, we're going to stick with Antonio Brown.
They go to different teams, and they just, you forget about them after they leave the city of Pittsburgh.
Well, they stuck with Antonio Brown and Emmanuel Sanders, and they made the right choice by getting rid of Mike Willis.
What are you talking about? Martavis Bryant still exists in the world, by the way.
I know he just plays in the XFL. He's just dominating there.
Sammy Coates.
All right,
Antoine Randall L.
Antoine Randall L. University of Indiana.
Darius Hayward Bay.
All right, back on track now.
All right, we gotta get back on track. We're ADHDing the hell out of this right now.
Offensive player of the year, I pretty much agree with Tyreek, AJ Brown, CMC, the obvious answers. Basically, barring major injury or something catastrophic, all pro first team receivers are locked up between those two at this point. Since we already talked about the ones I want, I'm going to go and throw in a dark horse for offensive player of the year. How about Jamar Chase as kind of a dark horse option?
I was going to throw it in too.
Too
fast, too injured. Raheem Mostert.
He's too injured already. He's already
13 fucking touchdowns. Like, holy shit.
Problem is Devin Achane's coming back, and he's going to take another 13 off of his plate.
He's still going to drop 20 something touchdowns this year. It's ridiculous. This guy's he sniffs the end zone. It's insane.
Speaking of go ahead, DJ. No, you go and finish that.
I say for Jamar Chase, the reason that one seems blasphemous, but I think has a chance for some legs. Already with a ghost of a quarterback through half of the season and not even getting the ball for half of it. He is fourth in the league in receptions with 60, tied with AJ Brown nonetheless as well. For receiving yards, he is 7th. Touchdowns, he is pretty much in the middle. But yards after catch, he is second, only to Tyreek Hill on top of that. He has been absolutely electric with what was it, a Bengals team that was written off 5 different times, and they finally are kind of healthy coming off a bye week. Me and Kelcey talked about it in the tiers. Joe Burrow in his career after bye week is a combined, I think it was 12-2, something stupid like that. Like he's 5-2, then 7-0. T. Higgins, they still have not quite got that connection going. I'm not sure if they're just not throwing the ball so they can sign him to a cheaper deal, or if it's just how it's working out. But Jamar Chase has reaped the benefits. So if they go on this tear and Tyreek or AJ Brown slows up, maybe Jamar Chase has an epic proportion explosion this back half of the season, which he is very capable of. If he scores 10 more touchdowns the rest of the way, gets you 1,400 yards, not out of the realm of possibility. It's probably Tyreek, AJ, or CMC, but Jamar Chase, dark horse coming out of Cincinnati, just throwing it out there so we don't all pick the exact same thing. Just have
odds are exactly what you just said. Tyreek, Christian McCaffrey, plus 125, plus 140 respectively. Then it jumps a lot. AJ is third. He's 2,200. Lamar Jackson, 25, and Jamar Chase at 5th, 2,500. Jalen, Stephon Diggs, Tua, Travis Kelcey are 5 through or 6 through 9, and then surprise to me, Travis Etienne, plus $3,500.
Honestly, Etienne's been like that dude for Jacksonville.
Yeah,
has the most.
It surprised me for offensive player of the year though. He's the 10th best odds for getting offensive player of the year.
You know what's crazy is he leads the NFL in carries by a comfortable margin too at 150. Who would have thought coming out of college, Clemson Travis Etienne would be a workhorse in a couple of years? He'd be Derrick Henry.
Wild to think about.
I didn't think he was going to be this good.
is he even above 200 pounds for weight?
I think he's like 205, something like that.
It's like 205.
Okay, so at least he's above, but like still, he's a small dude, man.
You know, he has 151 carries for 583 yards, so he's at 3.9 yards a carry, 7 touchdowns plus what he's doing the receiving. So he's literally Derrick Henry minus 60 pounds at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I was looking at the top receiving rushing yard candidates. It's like it's McCaffrey, and then it's like somebody else, and it's Swift, and then it's like Derrick Henry,
Zach Moss, Swift, and then Henry.
Yeah, oh my God, just Zach Moss literally is the bane of my existence when it comes to fantasy this year. But that's a whole nother ballgame.
Oh, don't even start with me with him sitting on my bench with those 33-point outbursts. But I'm not going to go on this tirade of misery and pinks. We got some awards to get through.
He wasn't on our bench when it came to beating Jared.
Thank goodness. But he was on all my other ones. Defensive player of the year. I'm going to start this one off for us. I'm going to keep it easy. I'm just going to take TJ Watt. Top 3 in sacks, interceptions. We see how miserable that Steelers offense is. It is literally the epitome of incompetence. They win these close games because of that defense led and spearheaded by TJ Watt. His numbers, very, very good. Maybe not quite as good as his 22 sack season a couple of years ago, but he's still towards the top in sacks. He's third at 8.5, 7 tackles for a loss and interception, 6 pass deflections, 3 forced fumbles to lead the league. He's electric, so I'm going to take TJ Watt. Kelcey, we'll go and let you go second. Who are we looking at for defensive player of the year?
I got Miles. I'm going to stay in the same division. I'm going to go Miles on this one. Just look what he's been doing. It's equivalent to TJ Watt. Literally, these two back-to-back are as really deadly as they come, ironically, in the same division, unfortunately. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who actually ends up at the top here, but his ability to get to the quarterback is just second to none. I mean, he's also leading the number 1 defense, but feels like by a long shot. And with the Browns, the Browns have allowed 264.4 yards of total offense. It's insane to think about. So, and Myles Garrett leading that team. So, yeah, give me Myles Garrett defense player of the year. Because if you're going to be the best defense, usually you have the defense player of the year on that.
By the way, too, I misspoke. Myles Garrett leads the NFL in forced fumbles at 4. TJ Watt leads in recoveries at 3. So that's where they're at. So they both have their own thing. Jared, which Philadelphia Eagle are we giving defensive player of the year to?
Neither. I'm actually going to go with Josh Allen of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Ooh,
now,
that's your guy.
That was my
defense. Hear me out. I've been a Josh Allen guy since he came out of Kentucky. I loved this kid's tape when they drafted him. I've been waiting for him to make his big jump. And listen, besides the game against the other Josh Allen, this has been like his big thing with this year. 9 sacks, 19 solo tackles. He's under the radar because this Jacksonville team is under the radar. Like, they're just winning games and nobody gives a shit. But he's there. The only person that has more sacks than right now is Danielle Hunter. I'm not going to pick a guy who's on a bum rush team like the Minnesota Vikings. So they do kind of look at guys who win. A la last year, the 3 finalists were Reddick, Nick Bosa, and Micah Parsons. So, like, that should tell you everything you need to know about this award. And the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to probably win the AFC South by at least 2-3 games. And this guy will probably be on that thing. And also, look, even like Trayvon Walker starting into the quarterback now, which just makes it easier for Josh Allen to get single-teamed. Dude's going to finish top 3 in sacks, and he's probably going to finish with at least 16 to 18. As much as I want to take Myles Garrett, I think his biggest problem is that he's lone wolfing it, and I am waiting for how long that Browns defense holds out.
That's fair. I mean,
when you're on that bad of a team, your defense can only play well for so long.
5 and 2?
4 and 3.
4 and 3.
4 and 3. We've seen listen. Deshaun Watson can only play so bad for so long. I'm just saying, listen, they still have a whole division to play. It's not. I'm not a big believer in this whole Browns thing. I think they got lucky a couple times. Geno looked like shit last week, and the Seahawks are the most dysfunctional winning team I've ever seen in my life, besides the Dallas Cowboys. So listen, I think Myles Garrett's the greatest edge rusher of our generation, but this year I think Josh Allen's having a better season. That is my shtick.
I'm gonna come back to you, Jared. I want to let Matt go first, but I want to pose a question to you here in a minute.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with somebody different as well. When I think of a defensive force that can alter the game and the way for his own team to win. He didn't do it. Anyways, so a guy that could pretty much just be the force for that whole team can really just alter the chance of winning for his own team. Just somebody that just can do it himself. I think of Micah Parsons with that one. He's got 2 forced fumbles, fumble return, 6 sacks on the season right now. He's got about 13 solo tackles, 9 tackles for loss. I watched this. I know the Jets lost to the Cowboys for many reasons, but one of the reasons was Micah Parsons being lined up against a 39-year-old left tackle, but I saw him demolish our entire offensive line. No matter where he lined up, no matter where he was, he was, if he didn't have that kind of a production, it probably would have been a lot closer of a game, but he was the sole reason why it got away as far as it did get away, in my opinion. So I got to go with Micah Parsons as a guy that can physically, just one person could really make that big of a difference in a game.
Fair enough. I actually agree. I think obviously Micah Parsons is a fantastic player. As a Cowboys fan, though, cannot pick him for that reason. I can't do it, because at the moment I do, guess what? He falls off the cliff. So then there goes the number 1 performing player on that defense. But yeah, I do like that pick as well. I'm letting anybody else weigh in before I ask Jared this question.
Well, go ahead. Let's hear it. Let's weigh on.
Okay. Jared, does it change your opinion on Myles Garrett when you know that his upcoming opponents are the Cardinals this next week, Ravens, Steelers, Broncos, Rams, Jaguars, probably the toughest team left on their schedidn't
Ravens.
I'll tell you this.
Hold on.
Who's
Bears,
playing? Who's starting?
Texans, Jets, and Bengals.
Okay, so one thing you didn't mention is also 4 of those guys are very mobile quarterbacks. Just saying, he's not going to get he's going to get a lot of chase down tackles, but Justin Fields mobile.
May or may not be back.
By the time, what is it, week 12 they're playing?
17th.
Yeah, he'll be back by then.
He might get but
Okay. Lamar Jackson, very mobile. Who the fuck?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wait, DJ, you starting for the Cardinals this week, or what's happening?
No, they're not. No.
Kyler Murray's starting for the Cardinals.
Okay, who is?
Clayton Tune.
Oh yeah, he'll have 2 sacks next week.
He's probably gonna stat. This is the point. He's like, he's gonna stat pad in the week.
As much as oh my god, Nathan Vivaldi just walked Ketel Martin 4 pitches. Holy shit. It's his 3rd time he's done it today. Dude's got the location of me in a wiffle ball game after 15 beers.
Attention span.
So basically, so the thing is about Myles Garrett, and I think this is the biggest issue, is that, and I bring this back a lot of the time when you talk about edge rushers. One, it's like we have a master class of edge rushers in the NFL right now. There are like 18 guys who could easily rack up 10 sacks a year plus. Some of them are on the same team. Okay. And that's just edge rushers. I'm not even talking D tackles like Aaron Donald, Jalen Carter, whatever, or Chris Jones or any of these other guys. So the biggest thing with Myles Garrett right now is, yes, he's playing he's playing a couple bad teams with bad offensive lines, right? But it's mobile quarterbacks. The other problem is sweet Jesus Christmas. What the hell was that?
That was your 30-second alarm.
Yeah, right. All I'm saying is he's got nobody on the other side. Darius Smith has been a ghost this year. What makes Hassan Reddick so good? He's got Jalen Carter, Fletcher Cox, and then he's got Josh Sweat, who can easily average 10 sacks a year on the other side. That's what makes Hassan Reddick so deadly. What makes Josh Allen so good? He's got those 2 young guys inside for Jacksonville and Trayvon Walker on the other side. There's always guys who, even if they're not sack producers, they draw attention of the running back, the tight end, the chip block, and it allows for one-on-ones for their primary pass rusher. This is why I'm a firm believer in the fact that guys like Walker, guys like Garrett, guys like TJ Watt, because now he's got Heisman on the other side. A lot of these guys who have a good sidekick edge rusher get more sacks because of that sidekick. It's a setup play.
Do you want me to spoil your conversation about Zadarius Smith right now?
Doesn't he have he does have a decent amount of sacks this year, doesn't he?
He's the exact same odds, according to DraftKings, in Week 8 that Josh Allen is to win MVP or to win Defensive Player of the Year.
which is wild to me.
Both outside of the top 10, both in the like 15 through 20.
One's like third in sacks, one's like 15th. This is why I fucking hate Vegas.
Plus 10,000 odds for both of them.
Oh, I'm gonna go drink.
The other three guys we mentioned, by the way, Micah Parsons plus 200. He has odds on favorite.
Name favorite.
Along with Myles Garrett plus 200 and TJ Watt plus 250.
Interesting.
That's your cue that you're talking too long.
That is our cue. That is our cue to get things rolling as well too.
You're going over the 30-second mark for this one sentence game.
All right, so next.
You know what, Matt? Don't come to the show tomorrow.
All right, so we're going on the corner booth tomorrow. It looks like Matt has been replaced. So next up, we're going to go to offensive player of the year, and you know what, Jared, you got
rookie of the year.
Offensive rookie of the year. Excuse me. Yes, Jared, go ahead and lead the way on this one. Offensive rookie of the year. Who are we looking at?
Bijan fucking Robinson. Like shit.
Not if Arthur Smith has anything to say about it.
Oh, listen. Arthur Smith and his renegade crusade against sports gambling, that freaking holier than thou bastard. All I'm going to say is that Bijan has been the most impressive offensive rookie to me. If you want me to go full fanboy, I would just start yelling Will Levis's name about 40 times because he's been so watching him go on his full ex-boyfriend revenge tour on Sunday was awesome. It was like the coolest thing to see. Bijan, when he touches the ball, is just different, and it's something cool. It reminds me a lot of Saquon his rookie year. It reminds me a lot of when we watched AP with the Vikings. It was just a lot of you can tell this dude's got it when it comes to being a running back. So that's why I gave him that one. It's just with Bijan. I feel like it's like watching poetry, man. I can't even hate on it.
I mean, maybe like watching poetry, but okay. Matt.
I'm going to go with Puka Nacua on this one. We're halfway through the year. He's got the same amount of receptions as Tyreek Hill with 61 off 89 targets. But he's got 795 yards, which I believe leads the rookies for receiving total, I believe, for yardage. The only thing that could hinder him right now is that he's got 2 touchdowns on the season. And with Stafford questionable with Kupp back, I assume Kupp's gonna obviously consume more of that role, but I think he's done enough this halfway of the season to where I think as long as he just stays consistent with some numbers each week, I think he can lock up offensive rookie of the year. So I'm gonna go with, he's not the favorite, I believe, but I think I'll go with a small backup favorite, obviously with Puka Nacua on this one.
He's second right now in odds.
Yeah, I think he's third in receiving yards. The problem with him is he only has 2 touchdowns. He's got to get in that end zone a little bit more often, but he's definitely in the thick of it as well. And going back to Jared's, I want Bijan Robinson to win it for my fantasy team, but Arthur Smith hates good players. There's a reason he had his second string tight end throw a pass to his third string tight end, while the highest drafted tight end of all time sat in and blocked last week in the red zone after taking out Bijan Robinson. So we'll get to Arthur Smith another time. We don't have enough show left for me to go off on that incompetent new. But Kelcey, who are we looking at for offense?
Nope, you go first. I'm going last on this one.
All right. Well, offensive rookie of the year. I'm going to go with receiver. I'm going into Minnesota, and I'm going to take Jordan Addison. He's been electric, especially with Justin Jefferson going down. 7 touchdowns. He's this year's Jahan Dotson. It's not quite as flashy, but he just makes plays. He gets in the end zone. If someone takes the ball from him one play, he takes it from them 2 more times and scores a touchdown. Once Justin Jefferson comes back, we're actually talking about them being a playoff team with Josh Dobbs potentially, despite the offensive line because of what Addison has done. So I'm going to take Jordan Addison, the receiver, for offensive rookie of the year right now.
I like it. So right. I guess leaves me.
All up to you.
All right. Well, I guess I don't know. Maybe you guys forgot this guy was a rookie potentially, but I can understand why you might forget he's a rookie. I'm gonna go CJ Stroud. Yeah, no reason not to right now. Looking at dude has 1,800 yards, 9 touchdowns to 1 interception, 9 touchdowns to 1 interception on 1,800 yards, averaging 60% completion rate, 94.9 QBR, or whatever that's worth. I don't know, throw QBR out there. But anyways, yeah, no, 9 touchdowns, one interception. How many rookies do you know can pull off 1 interception in the season? Has there ever been a rookie to start and finish the season as the starter and not throw more than 1?
I don't think quarterbacks can even do that in general usually.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it'd be an impressive feat. If he keeps it under 5 for a rookie, it's pretty impressive. Not a whole lot to work with there in Houston. You're not expecting much. So, yeah, I'm gonna go CJ Stroud here, rookie of the year or offensive rookie of the year. I don't know. It makes too much sense.
Honestly, if you told me they were going to win 7 to 8 games, I'd punch my ticket with that one regardless. I don't care what his stats are. If they can win 8 games, something like that as well. They're well on their way to it. So that's a really good pick as well.
And by the way, all 4 of us just gave the top 4 for offensive rookie of the year odds, with CJ at number 1 plus or minus 175 odds, Puka at number 2 plus 320, Jordan Addison plus 1600, and Bijan at plus 1700.
Honestly, if you told me I could build a team with just those 4 players, I'll be good with the rest of it. My future's looking pretty darn good right there. But now we got defensive rookie to round things out, and we're going to go and circle back. Matt, we're going to let you go ahead and lead the way with us defensive rookie of the year.
I'm kind of going with a dark horse on this one. I'm looking at, just so I don't keep picking the favorites, I like Brian Branch. He's somebody that I was very high on before the draft. I was hoping that they would wind up taking him in the, in somewhere in the mid rounds of the draft. But 6 games so far. He started 3 of them. He's got an interception in them. He's got 4 passes defended, and he's got 26 solo tackles with 4 tackles for loss. Just a nice big defensive force for the Lions. A big reason why their defense has gotten as much better as it has over the last year or so. Dark horse, I think he's like plus 1,000, but if he stays consistent, stays healthy, I think he can get his odds back up in there.
Number 4, by the way, on the odds list, plus 900.
It's a good one. He's often underlooked as well too. I think that's a really good one. Jared, who are we looking at for?
The other game, 2 games ago, really helped.
Absolutely. Defensive.
Why is it Jalen Carter?
I mean,
Yeah,
Matt just said it. You fucking suck, man. Listen, it's the tale of the tape for me, man. Every time I watch this dude play, I'm just like blown away. I'm not usually one to like be like a fanboy for defensive tackles because it's not like a sexy position to watch. But dude, like
Are you an Eagles fan? Are you sure you're an Eagles fan?
I am. But listen, I've been spoiled with Fletcher Cox basically most of my adult life.
Did you not see the sexiest man on earth in
Yeah.
Fletcher Cox?
The man who chased a burglar out of his house buck naked with a shotgun. Yes, I know the legend of Fletcher Cox. Okay, but
make it fair.
Yeah, okay, but like you got to realize, like the fact that I am blown away by a guy who is just by a rookie. By the way, like Jordan, I also get to watch Jordan Davis every Sunday, and yet Jalen Carter is the one that flips the lid every time I watch him, because it's not just the hustle plays, the strip sacks, the chase down tackles. It's the fact that I'm watching this dude blow up NFL guards and double teams like he's been in the league for 4 years, and it's the fact that our defensive line hasn't missed a beat missing Javon Hargrave. It's the fact of what he replaced and what he's made up for as a rotation guy. He's not even the starter. He sits behind Fletcher Cox, and he still makes an impact. His stats, it's kind of like Bosa last year, where he's not going to have the best stats out of all the rookie defensive players, but what you see on tape is what's going to win him the award. That's the thing. It's also the storyline of the Eagles got the number 1 big board guy in the draft, and boom.
Absolutely. All right.
I don't hate it.
We got a Philadelphia Bulldog on the list now as well. We got Brian Branch. Kelcey, who we put on there for 3rd?
No, I'm gonna let you go first. I like this me going last thing. I like to spoil it at the end.
That is something that you like to do well. So I'm gonna try and spoil it one early, and I could take Jalen Carter. It's a safe one. It started with Christian Gonzalez, gets hurt. Looks like it was Jalen Carter. He looks like he's banged up as well, too. We'll have to see how that back injury plays out. So I'm going to pick somebody else. What was that?
I think he's playing this week.
Let's hope the back doesn't flare up. So I'm going to take another direction. I'm going to go with the guy that both Kelcey and I were huge on going into the draft, and the guy that I attached the wagon to. I'm going to take Devin Witherspoon. I'm going to take the corner out of Seattle. The new Legion of Boom, all 5'10", 175 pounds of him, absolutely destroying people. We saw his big coming out party on Monday night against the Giants. Had a hell of a game against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins as well. He continues to he's been absolutely electric. He's been fantastic. Man coverage, zone coverage, nickel, coming out the slot, blitzing. He does everything you could want and more. Tariq Woolen is a corner on that team, and you can make a case Devin Witherspoon's the best corner on the team. And that's what the guy who led the NFL in interceptions opposite of him. You can make the case. So I'm going to take Devin Witherspoon out of the gate. I'm going to pray he does not follow the same trend of defensive rookie of the year candidates getting hurt. I'm really hoping that it's done now.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, there went my surprise. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm going to double up on this and just say Devin Witherspoon for all the things DJ just said, because man, that was disappointing. I was going to maybe read for Derek Hall, but I just can't like statistically back up Derek Hall because he only has like 4 pass quarterback hits. That's the best statistical stat he has right now. And so I just can't back it up. It's one of those like on tape things. But yeah, I mean, and he has 1 pass deflection against Carolina. But yeah, so I'm going to go Devin Witherspoon. I mean, just for all the reasons. Plus that pick six, that 97-yard pick six is insane.
Devin Witherspoon, every time he's on the fucking screen, is just electrifying. So that's that. He was my bat. He was my number 2 if it wasn't going to be Carter.
Yeah, I mean, so I should preface this by saying Jalen Carter was my preseason pick, and he still kind of – I just can't pick the same guy twice based off of my own stupid convoluted rules. But we have, again, picked 3 out of the top 4 favorites, Jalen Carter being 1 minus 150, Devin Witherspoon at 2 plus 230, Will Anderson, one we all left out, plus 750, and Brian Branch plus 900.
Really? Will Anderson above Brian Branch? I'm surprised. That has to be name value more than anything, honestly. He's been.
By the way, Tuli Tuipulotu is right behind Brian Branch, and then Derek Hall and Joey Porter Jr.
Like those ones make. Has Will Anderson secretly been dominating and I missed it? I just feel like he's had a really quiet season.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, I mean, I thought he was injured, but he's not, which is the most hilarious part about it. Because he's just been like kind of there.
It's like Derek Hall. It's like he's impactful during the game, but statistically speaking, there's not really a whole. He has 1 sack in the season. That came in week 1. 9 assisted tackles, 27 combined tackles. Yeah, I mean, it's not like a crazy stat line by any means, but he's just impactful. And plus, again, you look at the Texans; they're a team that nobody really wants to play right now, so they got to have some reason for that. And I guess they're just like, oh, yeah, Will Anderson, here you go.
Why not?
Also, I want to give a little shout out to somebody I've been shitting on for the past 3 episodes of Korner Booth. Zach Galen has 35 pitches through 4 innings. It's like he just getting outs, and the Diamondbacks are getting out because they can't score a fucking run. It's gonna be 1-0 this fucking game. I'm gonna literally lose every last bit of hair. DJ, you'll have more hair than me by the end of this game. I swear to God.
No,
that's I'll be able to see it with that. Whatever's on top of your head.
Yeah, exactly. I'm covering it up in the shame because at this point, like, I'm not as good looking as DJ. I can't rock the bald head. I can't do it.
God, if Matt put that on, he'd lose like 4 inches of height.
He's like a peacock. He's got using it for intimidation factor.
He just has to be 6'9" instead of 6'6".
Well, hopefully it's not 1-0 because then all my bet slip gets completely destroyed. So these guys better start hitting the damn ball on both sides of the ball so I can start winning some money here. But that's going to do it here for the main event. That's how it takes into Kelcey's favorite part of every show. That is Crunch Time. Crunch Time, of course, brought to you by our friends over at Outlier. Go to outlier.bet /HighLowSports. Get yourself a free 7-day trial to bet smarter, not harder, and don't bet like DJ. So, guys, for Crunch Time, normally this is what we do. Well, go ahead.
I said, except for DJ's best bets, then bet like DJ then.
The problem is those aren't the ones.
Only time he's safe.
That's the only time they're right. But everything in between, I lose all the money I win during the week. So Crunch Time is normally where we take a chance to rant, recap, or rank something we didn't get talked about on the show. As the guest of honor, we'll go ahead and let you guys go first. Matt, is there anything you want to rant, recap, rank, or have a general bold statement about?
Oh, let's go bold. Let's go bold. Robert Saleh is going to be NFL Coach of the Year at the end of this year. I know Dan Campbell is the heavy favorite. I can very much see Dan Campbell winning this game, winning that title. I mean, they're 6-2. You can see the progression that the Lions have made since they hired him. It's actually really cool. You can almost see the plan that they had and that they just keep getting better every year. Robert Saleh is a guy that last year he kept them competitive despite, the injuries and everything that they lost at Breece Hall. They lost Elijah Vera Tucker, 2 of the hearts of that team. But they come in this year, they lose Aaron Rodgers, and they're 4-3 through the first 7 games of the season, which I don't think anybody really thought the Jets would be 4-3 with Zach Wilson at the quarterback, especially the schedule that they had the first 7 weeks of the season. So I'm on record for this. I believe that the Jets are going to squeeze into like one of the last wild card spots by the end of this year. I think they can go maybe 9-8, 10-7, and squeeze into that 7th seed. And I think if we can get that done, I think Robert Saleh can definitely get the Coach of the Year gig, especially if somehow, by some grace of fucking Scientology, that Aaron Rodgers comes back before the year is over.
That'd be funny. That science is what brings Aaron Rodgers back onto the field. That'd be
the Church of Dr. Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
You'll be calling Travis Kelce being like, "Thank you, my lord."
I would say Lord Savior Anthony Fauci.
Dun dun dun! Don't cancel Disney. I will say if Robert Saleh does find his way into the playoffs, I do think Coach of the Year could very well go to him. One of our fan votes actually had Robert Saleh as Coach of the Year, so they're looking for that one as well. Jared, what are we looking at? Bold recap, ranking, statement, rant. Remember, you
I got a rant, man. Last night broke me a little bit. If it wasn't for the end of that game, game 4, the Diamondbacks and Rangers, and I got to give all the credit to the Rangers, man. They are just a fun team. They're impossible to hate. Like usually, if a team's kicking my team's ass, I'm there's a lot of anger and curse words and cursing, whatever. But the Rangers are just like, you can't hate them. I'm like, look at them, like, I'm not broken. Let's put it this way.
You said you were a broken fan.
I was broken last night.
I'm a broken D-backs fan.
I was broken last night, and then my team decided to rip off 7 runs in 2 innings. So I don't know what clicked in their heads during the end of the game. Maybe they started having fun with the game again. I don't know. But Torey Lovullo fucked the Diamondbacks by the second inning. Who the hell puts Miguel Castro, who is an instant base hit this entire season, and Luis Frias, they're like Dumb and Dumber when it comes to pitching in the bullpen. The 2 worst guys in our bullpen, like put the rookies in at this point. Like Justin Martinez throws at least 102. So at least if he's going to give one up, it's either going to be out of the ballpark or straight up in the damn air. Like, but Frias and Castro are the 2, maybe they're like hats are too tied in their heads or something. Because I don't understand how you either hang fastballs to these hitters or draw. Oh, look, we got a fucking hit. Holy shit, Evan Longoria got a double.
Told you.
The old man.
Crunch time. Hold on. Oh, this is, I got to go back to, we talked about this leading into this series. And I said, Evan Longoria is on your roster for one reason only. It's not to hit home runs. It's to be up there in a crunch time game, whether you're about to lose the series or about to win the series, and give you a double or triple or single off the wall.
All I'm going to say is that Torey Lovullo had screwed the Diamondbacks from the get-go last night. We put 3 of our worst pitchers in that bullpen in 1, 2, 3. Mantiply, listen, you earned my respect back after that performance. You pitched great for the first inning, and then they left you out for too long, and the Diamondbacks dug themselves a hole. They looked broken last night. The errors, the freaking missed steal signs, I don't know. And then something clicked in the 8th inning. They started swinging the bats. They scored 7 runs immaculately. Maybe they're back. I'm not sure. Zach Galen's pitching out of his goddamn mind. But Lovullo is the reason we lost last night. It wasn't anything the Diamondbacks did. He put the 3 worst guys to play against the Rangers in order, and it killed us. So that is my rant. Torey Lovullo, if we lose this series, it's because of him. It's not because of these players.
Snakes on life support, but they're alive. So, Kelcey.
Snakes alive.
Snakes on life support. Kelcey, what are we looking at today for crunch time?
Honestly, I didn't have anything prepared for it. I wasn't ready for this. I just, nothing in the sports world is really bothering me to the point. No, I'm just kidding. Who am I kidding?
That's a damn of a lie.
Referees. You talked about it last week. I'm going to talk about it again this week. Referees. Come on. I'm tired of you're the ref. You're the ref part 17. Again, we've run out of numbers at this point in time. They're done. It's over with. It's stop bringing the robot refs. I've accepted. I was the last holdover for robot referees. Screw it. Bring them in. Let everything be reviewable. Let everything. I don't care how much longer it adds into the games. I don't care how much I have to go to the bathroom right before halftime and it takes 7 extra minutes because there's a stupid replay. I don't care anymore. Just get it right. Just get it right. And the speed up option for reviews, best thing they've ever added. Why doesn't every division of football have it? Every level of football have that? I don't understand. You're literally just being like, hey, guys, you got that wrong. You screwed up. Fix it. Okay, cool. We got it. All right. Done. Like, that needs to be everywhere. Too many blown calls in games that matter for teams that, yeah, sure, you may not be a MAC fan, but at the end of the day, there's MAC fans out there, and they care. There are Ball State fans out there. There are Kent State fans out there. There are Miami of Ohio fans. I will call Zach Kyleman, and he will attest to this. He literally had a whole show based off of Ball State. So, I mean, like, look, there's – and I'm just using the MAC as an example just because they're one of the few that have been aggrieved against recently. I mean, there's 1,001 different teams that have an argument in different levels of football, and not just football, but it's hockey, it's baseball, it's basketball. I mean, at this point in time, I just don't get it anymore, how it's so bad. I know, Jared, you guys last year in the Super Bowl, the Eagles this last week got on the flip side of that. They were the ones not called for anything. So what? I don't care. Just, you know what? It's there. And on the flip side of it, don't call holding every play. That's the other thing. Holding doesn't exist just because there's a big play. Holding exists on every play. It's just a matter of whether you catch it or not, whether it actually is egregious. If it pulls off the jersey, then call it. It's a
or if it's the reason the play breaks. I agree with you. Yeah.
But like if a guy is peeling off and there's a 0.7 seconds in which the guy leans back and the jersey stretches a little bit, it's like, no, let that go. That's gonna happen. Those gloves are so sticky. No. Anyways, that's my.
Or when they're trying to get the edge and they're going to the ground and they slightly get the little arm hook back for a second as they're falling down.
And that one also goes into the roughing the passer conversation. There's roughing the passers called on quarterbacks that are like Josh Allen, who don't get a lot of calls for him because he's so big and he runs so often. But then there's calls for, like, I'm gonna go back to Tom Brady. Tom Brady, who gets his face mask grazed by a fingernail, and it's like, nope, that's 15 yards and you're ejected. Like, no. These are two different things. Like, but you see Josh Allen get full face punched and like dent in his Oakley mask, and it's like, no, that's fine.
See,
that just doesn't make sense.
Shot on the plane, it's like, no.
Yeah, this is worse than replacement refs at this point in time. I'm done. I'm tired of it. I've tried to give them so much leeway, but you know what? I'm just hoping baseball gives me another 99.9% grade for an umpire here soon.
Not in the World Series, brother. These balls and strikes have been a little.
I know. I don't like it, but I know.
At least getting to the World Series was pretty good overall. At least the lead up wasn't too bad, but I'll keep mine short.
Angel Hernandez was behind the plate.
Angel Hernandez can go. Oh, well, never mind. I'm going to stop because he might sue you.
Yeah, we don't want that type too. I'll keep mine short and easy. Coaching is a very important thing. Most of us on here, we criticize coaching, but none of us try and fully take away somebody's credentials. But my God, some offensive coaches really don't know what they're doing, it feels like, especially at the highest level. What makes Mike McDaniel good? He looks at his best player and says, I should get him the ball. It's really that simple. And most coaches need to do that. The anomaly is Kyle Shanahan because he has 19 All-Pros, so it's hard to distribute the ball. But he sees Christian McCaffrey. It's like, that makes sense. You look at Ben Johnson. Amon-Ra St. Brown does this really well. I'm going to get him the ball because we win when we do it. Then you look at the bad teams. You have DJ Moore on the Bears. They can't get him 6 targets a game sometimes. And it's not that he's getting clamped up. It's zone, and they can't. The best play of their entire season outside of the Washington game happened in preseason when you threw him a tunnel screen and he went for 60, and they have not run it one time in the regular season.
No, they did, and he scored a touchdown from 40 out.
Was it the same tunnel screen? Well, then my points made even twice as fat, but they ran it one time. We look at, and you can go across the board. The Patriots, your best players were your tight ends. They don't scheme up anything for those tight ends. Or Ramondre Stevenson, they run a halfback dive and trap. Basically, that's all they run with them. The Eagles, they have AJ Brown. They scheme up ways to get him the ball. It makes sense. The teams that have these good players, they scheme to get. It's really that simple. But some offensive coaches have to be. It's like a lot of Chip Kelly syndrome going on. Sorry to bring up that satanic name around this one, but they have to be the smartest guy in the room and overthink it.
It's like saying Beetlejuice.
I'm not saying
times. I will punch that man.
That enough. Like one time hurt enough too. Just find your best player and find ways to get him the ball. If they're getting clamped up in man-to-man coverage and they can't shake them, that's one thing. If they're double teaming them, like one over the top and an elite press corner underneath, okay. But when they're just normal, basic cover 3 shell, cover 2 man, etc., you can scheme up routes for them so easily. Get them the ball and let things happen. And you see the gap between good teams and bad teams. Even the Colts, who stink, they've scored 20 points in every single game because they scheme up ways to get those playmakers the ball. They have no quarterback and they suck, yet they are the only team to score 20 points in every game because their head coach schemes those best players the ball. It's really that simple. It's a complex thing that can be summarized easily. And it's amazing to me how many coaches can't do it. Because high school coaches can do that, but they will never get that chance. But I digress. Not going to shit on the entire coaching industry for much longer.
Josh McDaniels, kids.
Oh,
I'm so glad he got fired.
Me too.
About 2 years too late. But yeah, exactly.
He was going to be my crunch time, but yeah, no, that's
They did enough damage there. But before we get out of here, we've been a little bit longer. We're all falling asleep, and Jared's on the edge of his seat's probably about to wet himself. Matt, Jared, you guys can choose. Let us know where everyone can find you guys and who the heck you guys are.
You can find us at all things. Okay, damn it. All right. You can find us at all things Korner Booth Pod. That's YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. X. Sorry, Elon. Facebook, Instagram, whatever. You can find me at Belly Up Jared on Twitter and Korner Booth Jared on everything else. And Matt, you handsome devil, where can we find you on Twitter and TikTok and all that shit?
I don't remember any of my personal streaming names, but you could probably, if you look up Korner Booth Matt, you could probably find me on everything except Twitter. I think I'm still Big Wisp 8 because I can't figure out how to change my name. But it doesn't matter about me; it matters about the pod. So at Korner Booth Pod on every single thing you can
Team
imagine.
player.
Except, just don't look for us on Reddit or Pinterest. We're not on that. But if you want to go on X, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, that's the same thing. Instagram, you'll find us there.
We're also on Threads, by the way.
Threads. I forget about that app. Yep, I made one thread.
Thing. I share it on Threads. I share our episode on Threads all the time, and apparently it gets likes. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll keep sharing it.
I made one thread, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And I left it at that.
Not a thread of evidence if it's doing well or not. But that's going to do it here for us at the High Low Sports Podcast with the boys from the Korner Booth. Join us. We appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. We'll see you all again next week.